Hey guys, I hope you are all doing well. Haven't done a teaching video in a while and I want to get back to that. So I've upgraded our Screencastify subscription so that I will be able to do longer than 5-minute videos because that was getting so annoying when I would get cut off or I would have to do 4 or 5 different videos for one lesson. So these will be longer videos. If you need to pause them, that's fine. If you have things to do, you can start and stop them. Maybe write down, like if you're at minute 7 and 32 seconds, just make a note of that so then you can come back. So today we are going to be working on inequalities. And we are going to be working on 2 parts of inequalities: solving inequalities and graphing inequalities. And I've got some notes here for y'all. So if you need to pause the video, like if I'm moving too quickly and I start going down and you haven't copied stuff down that you need to, just pause the video and copy. There will be places in the video where I'll say try these. Just pause, work the problems, then come back and we will work them out together. So, what is an inequality? An inequality is just a mathematical statement that connects two unequal expressions. And that probably sounds familiar because it's almost the exact definition for an equation, because an equation was a mathematical statement that connected two equal expressions. So the only difference is this word right here. This is unequal. So instead of having an equal sign like this, that would be an equation, you have something that looks like this. It can either be less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So it can be any of those 4. The awesome part is that you solve it just like an equation, almost. There's one little caveat that we'll talk about in a little bit. But so here's an inequality. 3x plus 2 is less than 8. Since you know that you can solve that just like an equation, I want you to pause this video, try to work that, and then come back and you'll see how we did it. Because y'all can do this. You can do a 2-step equation. Okay. So here is where I worked it out. I worked it 2 ways. I worked it as the inequality and I worked it as an equation, just so you could see the steps are the exact same. You've got multiplication and addition on this side. Remember, we're always trying to solve for the variable or get it by itself, and we undo and reverse PEMDAS order. And since PEMDAS is PE, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, we undo addition and subtraction first, okay? So we've got addition. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides to undo it. Remember, if you do it to one side, you do it to the other. That's the same, even though this is an inequality. So that leaves us 3x is less than 6. Over here, 3x equals 6. To get x by itself, that means 3 times x. The opposite of multiplying is dividing, so we're going to divide both sides by 3. That leaves us x is less than 2. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. You just bring this straight down, okay? So instead of getting x equals 2, like you would in an equation, you get x is less than 2. So that just means, what this means is that x can be any number that's less than 2. It can be 1, it can be 0, it can be any negative number. It can be 0.5 because that's 1/2 and that's less than 1. So it can be anything less than 2. Okay? So I want y'all to try these 2 right here on your own. Just get out your paper, work them, take a few minutes, and then come back and we'll see how I did it. Okay, hopefully y'all worked on those. On this first one, you have multiplication and subtraction. So you undo that subtraction first by adding 1 to both sides. 13 plus 1 is 14. Those cancel and it just leaves the 2x. To get rid of the 2 coefficient on the x, you divide both sides by 2. That leaves x over here, and 14 divided by 2 is 7 over here. Now, I don't like that x being on this side. Some people, like me, like to flip it so that the x is over here. And you can do that. You can put the x over here, the 7 over here, but what's really important, if you do that, be sure that you flip that sign as well. See, it was 7 is less than x. Now it's x is greater than 7. I flipped the sign when I flipped the sides, okay? So on this next one, we have parentheses. And do y'all remember how to get rid of parentheses? Works just like it does in an equation. You distribute. That 2 is multiplied by that x, and it's multiplied by that 3. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 3 is 6. And then you just copy everything else down. And now you just have a two-step inequality. To get rid of the plus 6, you minus 6 to both sides. That just leaves 2x over here. 4 minus 6, this goes back to our integer rules. You're taking away more than you started with. So basically you're doing 4 plus negative 6. That leaves you negative 2. Divide both sides by 2 to get rid of that. Remember, a negative divided by a positive is negative, another integer rule. Remember to practice those if you don't have that really firm in your head. So you're left with x is less than or equal to negative 1. Okay. So you're saying, you said to solve like an equation almost. So what is that about? Well, let's try this one right here. You've got negative 2n minus 5 is greater than or equal to 3. We know that we add 5. We've got negative 2 times n here and then minus 5. So we're going to get rid of the minus 5 first by adding 5. That leaves us negative 2n is greater than or equal to 8. This is what is important. This is what is different that makes them something you really have to think about when you're using negatives. Okay, here to get rid of this negative 2 times n, we have to divide both sides by negative 2, right? Because it's got to be negative 2 divided by negative 2. Okay, when you have to multiply or divide both sides of the inequality by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. And honestly, I can't really tell you a good why to that. It is just something you have to do. So negative 2 divided by negative 2, a negative divided by a negative is positive, so it just leaves you n, okay? And 8 divided by negative 2, a positive divided by a negative is negative, so it's negative 4. And then you have to flip the sign, and don't forget that equal portion because it's greater than or equal to, so it becomes less than or equal to. Okay, so that's the only, like I said, caveat at the beginning is that you have to flip that sign if you're multiplying or dividing by a negative. So let's do one more example because it's just a little more complicated, a little more algebra involved with it. Because if you saw this, you might totally freak out, but I want you to just pretend there's an equal there. And how did we solve equations? We get rid of parentheses first, always, okay? So that means distribute that 4 to both of those, which makes it 4x plus 28. Then your next step is always to get all of your variables on the same side of the equation. So we either need to move this 4 to the 9 or the 9 to the 4. I went moving the 4 over to the 9 because I didn't want to have to deal with all these negative coefficients. So if you subtract this 4x to get it moved from over on this side and subtract 4x from here, you're left with 3 plus 5x because 9 minus 4 is 5. Those cancel and it just leaves 28 over here. So now you just have a two-step equation. To get rid of that 3, you subtract 3. That leaves us 5x. 28 minus 3 is 25. Divide both sides by 5. X is greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so that is how we solve inequalities. It's just like solving equations, except for that one little trick with the dividing or multiplying by a negative number. Part 2 of this lesson is how to graph inequalities. So all I did down here, I'm going to show you in a second, I took four of the answers from up here, and I brought them down here. We've got a less than, a greater than, a less than or equal to, and a greater than or equal to. And I'm going to show you why we graph each of them the way we do, okay? So these were just answers to all 4 of the, well, we did 5 problems. This is 4 of the answers to the 5 we did. So x is less than 2. You always put a circle on whatever number you get here. So if you see I put a circle on 2, 7, -1, and 5. That's what you always start with. Put a circle on it. Then, if x is less than that, is 1 less than 2 or is 3 less than 2? 1 is less than 2, right? So everything this way is less than 2. So I highlighted everything to the left of 2 because x is everything less than 2. I did not color that circle in. Do y'all see that? And that's because it's not equal to 2. It's less than 2. On this one, x is greater than 7. I put a circle on 7. I highlighted everything greater than 7, but not 7 because it's not equal to 7. Okay, so look at this one. X is less than or equal to -1. I did a circle on the -1. This time, do you see that I colored in that circle? It's very well colored in. That is because it is equal. It can be equal to -1 or anything less than -1. Okay, so anything that way. And then with x is greater than or equal to 5, I colored in the 5. Since it's equal to, I colored in the circle. And then I did everything greater than that. Okay, so that is how you graph inequalities. What I am assigning y'all on Con to work on today is, let's see, let me see if I can go over here and look at it. It's this right here, and it's two-step inequality, so all of them will be 2 steps. You probably won't have to do getting rid of parentheses or anything, I'm not sure. But it's probably going to be a little more simple. But there are 7 questions with this, with each of these. I'm going to include a link to, I've assigned it, but I don't know if you'll be able to find it really easy when you go to your Khan Academy. So I'm also going to include a link to it on that Word document that I send out. There'll be a link to that video, and then there will be a link that the video I'm doing right now, there'll be a link to this video, and then there will be a link to this practice right here. And what I want y'all to do is go to it, and since it's only 7 questions, so you'll solve this. You'll do the -5 to both sides, which will leave 11q equals 44. And then you'll divide both sides by 11, which will be q is less than or equal to 4. Okay? So then you'll look down here. If q is less than or equal to 4, can I write on that? Let me try. Q, yes, that's a q, not a 9. Q is less than or equal to 4 is what you would get when you worked this out. So you'll look down here. You'll find which ones are on 4. They all are. It's going to be one that's equal to, so that means it's going to be colored in. So it won't be C or D. And which of those is less than? It would be B. Okay? Then you'll check it. I would like y'all to work through the 7 questions on that honestly like 3 or 4 times, because this video is going to take you, maybe even with pausing and working, at the most 30 minutes to watch, probably only 20 or so. And then I want y'all to work on this and do it through 3 or 4 times and just get really comfortable with working these and with figuring out how to graph them, okay? So watch the video and then come over here and do this straight through, not 3 or 4 questions, all 7 questions 3 or 4 times. Okay, and if y'all have any questions, definitely give me a message on Remind or email me, or Miss Rebecca, if you have her email, you can contact her. So if you have any questions, let us know. If you are struggling with anything, I can do one of these videos specifically for you and send it out. So if y'all have any questions, just let me know, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.